In the early 1800, Ørsted showed that a current carrying conductor produces a magnetic field, and he showed it by an experiment in which he placed a magnetic compass near a current carrying wire, and there was some deflection in the needle of the magnetic compass, and hence he concluded that there is a magnetic field produced because of the current carrying conductor, and due to the produced magnetic field there is a deflection in the needle of the magnetic compass. And shortly after, Ampere demonstrated that the produced magnetic field was linearly related to the current which produces it. Therefore, when the current is having the higher value, the magnetic field intensity will be more, and when the current is having the lower value, the magnetic field intensity will be lower. And after 20 years, Michael Faraday discovered that changing magnetic field could induce a voltage in neighboring circuit. For example, let's say this is our first circuit and current I is flowing through the coil, and because of this current there will be magnetic field, and this magnetic field produced is linearly related to the current I producing the magnetic field according to Ampere. And now if we move this coil and keep this coil at the same position, there will be a changing magnetic field with respect to this coil, and according to Faraday there will be an induced voltage across the terminals of the coil. And I want to make one thing very clear: the resistance of the wire we used to make the coil is not equal to 0, and therefore this is not the case of short circuit, and hence the voltage will not be equal to 0. And in order to get the changing magnetic field, it is not always important to move this coil. We can also vary the current I with respect to time. If we vary current I with time, then there will be a varying magnetic field, and hence the voltage, which is the induced voltage in the second coil, will be proportional to the time rate of change of current producing the magnetic field in the first coil. And when we remove the proportionality sign, we will have V equal to L di by dt, where L is known as inductance and it is measured in Henry. And we implement inductance using a circuit element we call inductor. So we can implement inductance using an inductor, and we design inductors to store the energy in form of magnetic field. And we can define inductor as a circuit element having the terminal voltage directly proportional to the time rate of change of current. And now we will move on to the next point. Any conductor carrying current has the inductive properties, and it may be considered as an inductor, but its inductive effect is very weak, and to increase its inductive effect, the number of turns are provided. You can see there are different turns, and each and every turn will contribute in the formation of a strong magnetic field, and therefore there will be a stronger inductive effect in this case even with the same amount of current. Therefore, in this case also we gave the turns to the conductor. Now we will move on to the next point, and according to this point, the induced EMF is equal to the time rate of change of flux, and we call this Faraday's second law. And if we consider there are n number of turns in this, and one turn is producing the flux equal to phi, then the total flux represented by psi will be equal to n multiplied to phi. Psi is the total flux, n is the number of turns we are having, and phi is the flux produced by a single turn. I will call this equation number 1. Now, according to the Faraday's second law, the induced EMF is equal to the time rate of change of flux. This means d psi by dt, and psi is equal to n phi, so we have v equal to d by dt n phi, and using the rule of differentiation we can write v equal to n d phi by dt plus phi dn by dt. N is a constant and therefore n will not change with time, and dn by dt will be equal to 0. So finally we are getting voltage V equal to n d phi by dt. So remember this, and we know flux because of one turn will be proportional to current I, and the total flux psi will be proportional to the flux phi, and this implies the total flux will be proportional to the current I. Now when we remove the proportionality sign, we will have L as a proportionality constant and psi will be equal to L I. I will call this equation number 2. Now we will put psi equal to Li here, and we will have voltage V equal to d by dt Li. This will give us L di by dt plus I dl by dt. We know L is the proportionality constant, and therefore dl by dt will be equal to 0, and we are having V equal to L di by dt, the same thing I have written here. Now you need to be careful about dl by dt. dl by dt will be equal to 0 in the course network theory, because in this course you will find L as a constant, but in measurements dl by dt is not always equal to 0. Why? Because L is not always constant. For example, let's say we are having a scenario in which there is a coil like this, and through this coil there is a core which is moving with time. Now due to this movement of the core, L, that is the inductance, will change. So here in this case inductance is not constant, and therefore dl by dt will not be equal to 0. So this is the case you will see in the subject measurements, but in case of network theory you will find L is constant, therefore dl by dt will be 0, and we finally have V equal to L di by dt.